With G, here I am on the stage now. It's been a while. I haven't done this in a while, really, since I went to Portugal to hang out with my teacher and do a real honest to God retreat, which I haven't done in a very long time. And I apologize for being late. Being on time and organized and well prepared and stuff is, it's kind of like talent for music or art or something. You either got it or you don't, right? And I don't, so that's that. Everybody's come to expect it, though. At any rate, that picture of Buddha that I brought back was a copy of a painting that my teacher, Muji, made. He was an artist. He still is, actually. That was his thing before his own spiritual journey began in earnest. Normally at this point, when I'm teaching a class, I just invite everybody to close their eyes and sink into the emptiness for a bit. Maybe I'll do that. I don't do that here on Tea with G, but just for a moment. Just kind of set the stage for where we are. Just close your eyes, wherever you're doing. Right? Unless you're, driving a car or something. But otherwise, just give yourself a minute to let go of whatever you were doing, whatever you were engaged in, and put all of your attention here. Give all your attention to here. And I don't essentially mean me. I mean your attention to yourself. Just take a couple breaths with your eyes closed. Let your attention naturally gravitate inward. And just be with that inner space that's empty. It's not nothing. It's you without anything additional added. Just you. Your natural state just as you are. And notice if you just take a moment to disengage from experience, from the mind and thoughts and all of that, and from emotions, sensations, from all experience, memory, projections, even questions you might have. For just a moment, and just when you disengage, what remains? It's such a profound thing to ponder and to look at. What's here when you're not engaged with anything? Well, it's you. And notice when you're not engaged with the mind, there's no comparing going on, there's no thinking, there's no figuring things out. It's very quiet. Very quiet. In fact, it's perfectly still. Now you didn't create that stillness. It's just here. You didn't create your own presence. It's just here. This simple recognition of your own emptiness, and I just mean empty of all outward and inward engagements. There'd be something going on outside you, or your own thoughts and feelings and the like. When you disengage with it, you have the experience of yourself just as you are. This is the whole foundation of non-dual self-inquiry. removing everything that can possibly be removed. And notice it doesn't take much. And what remains, what cannot be disposed of, it's got to be you. You, without referencing anything other than you. And what do you find? Emptiness, quiet, still, maybe even contentment. No, the only reason this path is difficult is because we are so habituated to engaging constantly with thoughts, emotions, and sensations, and events, and memories, and aspirations, and all of that. That's the only reason why. We've just all been trained to look away when there's nothing happening. But you are not a happening. You just are. Notice there's this kind of just being. Doesn't have any real characteristics to it. It's not a man or a woman. It's not black, white, or Asian, or Indian. Has no religion. Does it even have a beginning? Or an end? Can you taste the isness of it? It just is. What is doesn't have a beginning or an end. Truth doesn't become something, come out of nowhere and become truth. It's what is. Can you add anything to it and make more being? Or take something away and make less? While it's empty of all discernible qualities, it's not vacuous, not void, it's not nothing. And how are you recognizing this? How is it that you are seeing what can't be seen? It's completely empty and has no attributes. The only way you could is if you are simply talking about yourself. You're describing the emptiness that's you. The being that can't be added to or taken away from as you. The beginninglessness, the endlessness, the timelessness. You're talking about yourself. Now this is not the self we all know. That is our idea about ourselves. But our ideas about ourselves, they come, they go, they change, they shift. They're here one minute, gone the next. Nothing's stable or permanent about them. But this simple sense, the simple space of your own being, if we were to do this meditation tomorrow or a month from now or 500 years from now, would you find anything different than you found right now? Or if we had done it 500 lifetimes ago, would you have found anything different? And just to sweeten the pot a bit, is it possible, even likely, that everybody here who's doing this with us is experiencing exactly the same thing. Like it's a shared being, or the essence of all of us. The one. That's good. Just take a breath and just let it go for now while I shake up my drink a bit. Shaken, not stirred. So, the floor is open for anybody who might have a question about anything. It's not a huge number of us here, but maybe some will join later. And, all right, just comment about what you might have experienced during just simply pulling your attention away from all the things that normally engages it, and instead just being quiet, contemplative. That's actually what self-inquiry is. It's putting your attention in the place with that same place with the attempt to know yourself. Yeah, there's uses of the intellect in self-inquiry, but their only purpose is to gently point us in the direction that is beyond intellect, and then our willingness to just go there consistently, persistently, just becoming more and more aware of how just the habit of attention just hopping all over the place, and really the kind of discomfort of putting your attention on something you can't see, can't touch, you can't really describe, only to discover that that's you. That's you. You are that which is beyond all description. And so it becomes experiential, not because there's some great glorious heavens parting or some Hollywood movie version of what we've heard enlightenment is. But just this simple growing recognition that I am simply this indescribable presence. And all the ways in which we've identified and thought of ourselves otherwise, very subtle ways, just all gradually come to the surface, and you see all the places where we had unwittingly been turning ourselves into some kind of a form. Even the idea that I'm going to be this being who is enlightened. And the enlightened, I guess the awakened one, because there are no terms that can really capture it, is completely void and empty. It's not a person. It'll manifest as a form, somebody, we call them sages or saints or wise ones, Buddhas. It manifests as a form. But the wisdom that is coming forth, the light that's shining through, isn't originating in the form. The form is the kind of the sunbeam coming from the sun, you might say. But it's not a person. Yeah. And the true sage is the form in which there is no sense of a person there any longer. Or that is, shouldn't put it that way, because we can kind of idealize the state. It's that in the sage, the arising of the sense of being a separate self, of being a person, which doesn't stop as long as there's a form, is no longer believed at all. Holds no authority, no credibility. There's no relationship whatsoever, except that it's just another movement in consciousness as the I am vacillates between the absolute and the appearance. But the sages knows themselves as the absolute. And that the absolute and the relative, the emptiness and form, dual and non-dual, are one. There isn't actually a separation. It's not a duality we have to get rid of. Only the idea of a duality. Anyway, I got a question here. Looks like data forever. So you're talking about data as in info or data as in Mr. Data from Star Trek? Probably the most loved character on Star Trek. Hi G, I followed you for some time and I appreciate everything you do for people. As you speak of self-inquiry, I notice I focus on my loved ones and spend time analyzing them, and it isn't helpful. Yeah, it's just a distraction, my friend. You know, our loved ones are important. Info. My career. Got it. Okay. Our loved ones are important. They are to the sage. There's this idea that somehow awakening means indifference. There's just this aloofness, that you don't care about anything. The truth is you care more, but you don't suffer over it. You recognize the nature of things, that this is the nature of things, and even if somebody you love is going through a really difficult time, really even being self-abusive or the like, your whole heart is there, but not the person. So there's no suffering in it in the sense of guilt or shame or a feeling of helplessness. There's just a recognition that everything is going exactly the way it's supposed to. And no matter what it appears, however it appears, however the mind says it is, everyone is the self. And that appearance of somebody who doesn't know that and is in doing something that isn't helpful or useful for them is just an appearance. And you can let go of your notion that there could possibly exist anything other than the pure being and the pure awareness. And thus, like the bodhisattva, you save all beings from suffering, because you simply realize, as it says in the bodhisattva vow, there are no beings suffering. That's just how it appears. The bodhisattva vow, suffering beings are numberless. I vow to save them all. Big job. And having saved all beings, no being has been saved. So that it is this beautiful flow between compassion and wisdom. between knowing and experiencing, which is the deepest love you can hold for them. And so the analyzing of them, of course, it's coming from the place of how can I help them stop suffering? Right? Well, that's how you do it. Right? Remember, we don't see things as they are. We see things as how we believe them to be. If I see myself as a limited, struggling, unhappy person, I will see others as persons who are unhappy and struggling, or they've got it all together. They've got the perfect life. There'll be this projection onto others. That's really our own view of them that we're mistaking as objective. We live in a subjective world. Your world and my world are not the same. As Mooji likes to say, there's one Earth, there's 8 billion worlds. 7.5 billion worlds. Because everybody's living in their own subjective experience, mistaking it for objective reality. Right? So the best way to help others and let go of the analyzing is to notice what you're thinking about them, what the image you're holding of them, and recognize that you're not seeing them as they actually are, just like you don't see yourself as you actually are until you do. Right? But in that, what happens is that your introspection, your self-inquiry, and your care and analyzing of them become one. As Jesus said, before you can cast the sliver out of your brother's eye, you first got to get the log out of your own so that we can see clearly. And when we see clearly, we'll see the hand of God, or whatever you want to call it, in everyone's life. You'll see the movement of grace that is perpetually there. Looking back now, I can see the hand of grace in my whole life. The things that I didn't do, the things that I managed to not screw up, and the things that worked but also came to an end. I can see the hand in grace in all of it. That I was being led. I thought I was doing all sorts of great and wonderful things, but I was simply being led. This shuts the, it's, this door shut in my face. Well, it's simply moved you this way, helping you to avoid a cul-de-sac or a bridge out or something, right? Yeah. So when you're focusing on your self-inquiry, and just do it now. Let's not even put it off in the future. Just right now, you're aware of yourself. You're aware of your thoughts. You're aware of your loved ones. You're aware of the love you have for them. You're aware of the analyzing, the way you're thinking about them. What you would love for them to experience. Of course, we want the very best for the people we love. Right? You're seeing all of that, right? Now, put your attention on the one seeing it. Because your loved ones, the analyzing, even the impulse and intention to do self-inquiry are all being seen, aren't they? By what? Notice that you are the seer of them. And if you notice that and put the attention there, even though that all that other stuff is there. You'll find that simply by noticing who's seeing all that stuff, you're doing the inquiry. You're asking, okay, where am I in all of this? Who am I in all of this? I see it. Who am I that sees it? What am I that's seeing it? And you notice all the thoughts and impressions and ideas and images that we hold of ourselves will come to the surface and say, that's what you are. You begin to realize all the places that you've identified. But wait a minute, this just came up. This is another image. I'm looking at it. So it can't actually be me. Because I'm the one looking at it. Right? You're looking at me on the screen. You're looking at your computer, so you're not your computer. Okay? If I'm looking at an image that I've been believing is myself, but it's an image I'm looking at, well, then it's not me. Who's doing the looking? Where's this point of cognition? Where's the sentience? Well, it's here. And it's here, it's you. You're seeing. You're the conscious awareness. So, isn't that what you are? I mean, is there something else seeing? Your eye doesn't actually see, that is, cognize. It collects light, right? There's things in there that turn into electrical pulses, and it goes various places, and other stuff gets added to it. So suddenly an image appears to something. What? Whatever that is, that's you. Right? That's the consciousness, right? But nothing in between there is actually seeing it. You're hearing my voice, right? But my lips and tongue and larynx and breath, they're not hearing it. This microphone right here isn't hearing it. The wire it's running through, the computer, the network, all of that, none of it's hearing the voice. Are you following me in this? It's so potent to see that you are the consciousness. Nothing else is. So when we're talking about the self, self-realization, is there anything other than the self that would be cognizant, that would recognize, that could cognize? So right now, you are the self, because that's the only thing that sees. You are the consciousness that sees. Which means you're not somebody trying to become the self. You're the self. And appearing in front of the self is this idea that you're not. That you're this character out there. But just looking at the scene, well, the character in my mind, it's not seeing me. I'm seeing it. Characters on the screen aren't self-aware. You're seeing images on your computer right now, right? The image itself doesn't know anything. It's not experiencing anything. It's just modulations of the screen. Is everybody or anybody following this? I'd love to get some feedback on it, because it's so potent. We think we're trying to become the self, and that we're this other thing that's recognizing and cognizing and doing, right? Trying to get to this other thing that's recognizing, cognizing, and doing, get to pure awareness, consciousness, however we imagine that to be. Is there anything other than consciousness that is conscious, that cognizes? You must be that. You simply must be that. And just take that in for a moment. I must be that. Not become it. Not at some point attain this rarefied state we call enlightenment. But remember, it's self-realization. That is, the self realizing itself. I'm realizing that I'm not who I thought I was. But I am the pure awareness that is cognizant of everything. And in fact, not just cognizant of it, I'm the source of it. I'm not perceiving something out there. I'm only perceiving myself. But I'm going. I'm veering off here. So, GOX says, yes, G. Good, you get it. Now, what's the effect of that? Right. We can't just leave this, oh wow, I get that. Right? We have to keep going. Keep poking and prodding until that sense of being that is all that there is. And you can't be fooled again. Like the Who song, we won't be fooled again. Hello, Dana. Welcome. I didn't say hello to people. Hi, Ava. Yay. David and Elaine, so good to see you guys. And Rosario, my buddy in Madrid. And Ida, she's up in Denmark. Is that right? Ida, did I get that right? And Data Forever, Philadelphia, and GOX, Dana Marie. Hello, everyone. Lindsay, love that painting on the wall. Yeah. Whoops, sorry. I say spell. Didn't mean to put that up there. Yeah. Let me go here for real quick, and I can kind of defocus it so you can see it clearly. Yeah. It's really lovely, isn't it? Let's see if I can get it straight here for you so you can see it. Yeah. Yeah, that was painted by Muji. He's really quite a gifted artist. I mean, all the signage and stuff, most of the signage and stuff around Sahaja, he did himself. He does these pictures. I have another one of Christ as well. Didn't have really room to put it up quite yet. I'm still staying at my son's, so I don't actually know where I'm going to be quite yet. Although I'm going to be talking to somebody today about getting my own space. It's fine here, but I've been living out of a suitcase for over 2 months. I get done with doing a class or one of these, and I've got to pack everything up and put it somewhere, right? Because the kids, little hands, oh, look at this interesting stuff. So I think that's what happened to my watch, which just disappeared. But they're fascinated with the thing. So anyway, and love me too. Love you too. Thank you, Lindsay. David and Elaine, very few questions seem to arise these days. Good. With the realization that the mind is not the ideal medium to know the truth. No, it's useful in the beginning, and then eventually, if not properly guided, it becomes quite an impediment. But there are some of us, who are intellectually inclined, very, have really good intellectual equipment. Right? And even there's a Gadada says that can be quite an asset. Right? But it can be quite a detriment when it is under the control of the egoic mind, of the ego, basically, or basically the self-preservation sense, then it becomes problematic because it just doesn't want to let go of its conclusions. But the honest seeker can use the intellect to get to a certain point. Truth transcends the labels of thought and is more than a non-objective or non-subjective knowing that seems to arise out of the empty presence of I am. Yeah. And who are you? Who is it that recognizes truth? Can recognize that the mind is an inadequate means to go the distance. What is it that recognizes that truth transcends all the labels of thought? It goes beyond all opposites. Who knows that? How do you know that? Because if it's beyond thought, you can't think your way there. Right? Nobody can get it then. Right? Nobody can say, oh, I got it. No. As long as there's somebody there claiming that they got it, or claiming that they know that truth transcends, something's not quite right there then. So how do we know, can recognize these things, like when you see an insight arises and you see something clearly you didn't see it before, where's that recognition coming from? Right? We often get so excited about I just had incredible insight. I saw something I never saw before. It's really, really great, really spiritual. And it is. Right? But then we get so absorbed in what has been experienced that we kind of lose touch with that very much more subtle sense of how did you recognize that it was true? That you could call it an insight and not just yet another thought. Only truth can recognize truth. So, truth is not a thought. It's not an idea. Most of the world regards truth as something you come to know. Some kind of special information, right? Something you learn at the mystery school or something. Some esoteric tidbit that I can jump onto and say, oh, I know now. But truth isn't that. In the famous Hindu teaching of Sat, Chit, Ananda, the word Sat, which means being, also means truth. Reality. And being. So truth, reality, being are all one. It is only the truth of being which we can say, think of truth in that way, but the actual truth is your being. The truth of you is you. And what I just said was using the intellect to give expression and pointers to something that escapes us when we're bound, really limited by the notion that truth is something that is known rather than something that you are. Because the truth that's known, has anybody ever had anything that they believed to be true that turned out to be true? Any idea, any concept, however beautiful and magnificent it is. Has there ever been any of those that haven't changed at some point? something arising out of the empty presence. Even the knowingness is in the emptiness itself is being perceived, isn't it? As Buddha said, even emptiness is empty. The empty presence, right? The sense of presence, the sense of I am, which is the most subtle of all experiences. It is still an experience being had by the inscrutable, the ineffable, the unknowable. And that just happens to be you. You are the very you are the emptiness itself that even perceives emptiness in everything. Because everything is empty. Do you know what I mean by that? Emptiness is the nature of all things. Like, if I take this picture behind me and I just grind it all up into powder, where's the picture? It's gone. It's a composite, it's an aggregate. Everything that exists is an aggregate of something smaller. Right? You take a tree apart and you don't find a tree. Right? So the tree is this thing. We think of it as a thing, but it's actually just this flow of constant transformation that is empty of an inherent existence. It's empty of objective existence. It doesn't exist objectively. That is, or as Buddha would say, there's no self. It's empty of a self. This body is empty of a self. There's no self here. It's just this constantly transforming energy. If it wasn't constantly transforming, we wouldn't need to eat. But we do because it's constantly transforming. The self isn't transforming. And the self is not in any of these, but the self is pure, is emptiness itself. And so its nature of pure emptiness is expressed in all form. Hence, the Heart Sutra can say, form is emptiness, emptiness is form. What you're looking at is emptiness dancing. What you're hearing is emptiness dancing. What you're seeing, the questions that are coming, emptiness dancing. And the questioner is no less the self than the answer. This is the amazing thing. There's nobody's really on the path. As Buddha said, there's a path, there's a walking on the path, but there's no traveler. Even the seeker is just a movement in consciousness. The sense of having lost it and trying to get it is a movement in consciousness. Being watched by what? By the self. And who's that? You see, this isn't this... It is so every day. Every single day. You think, oh no, well, the self-realized being, well, they're wearing orange robes, and they don't eat meat ever, and only eat tofu, and transcendent of it all, but it's not true. It's simply not true. The actual form, when the person is no longer dominating that form, is simply manifesting the self, and is always manifesting the self. So it's the self when you're eating dinner, it's the self when you're taking a shower, it's It's the self when you're getting angry at somebody. It's all the self. That's all there is the self. There are not two. If you can see that, then you realize that even the worst things you ever did are no impediment to self-realization. The fact that the self is always self-realized. It can't not be. But simply is experiencing, because it is unbounded and just cannot, totally empty of anything that defines it or therefore limits it, it can experience bondage. It can experience the sense of forgetting who it is and remembering, and then remembering. And that experience doesn't change the fact that it never forgotten it can. Right? But that experience of it forgetting and remembering is what you call your life. You are that and always will be. No one knows, gee. It's just known. Yes. No one and you, right? It's just not so difficult to define with words. Yes, it is. Yeah. But it's fun, isn't it? What can I say? I can't do it. And then I just keep doing it over and over and over again because it's just... you just can't help but just marvel at the wonder of it all. No one knows, and you know. So you're that no one that knows. Because it's not a person. That's really important because, somebody not as spiritually mature as you guys is going to hear, no one knows, right? And so they're going to get this sense of being, of this nothingness, right? There's nobody here, there's nothing to do, no one's here, right? Which misses the point, right? Because there's a sense of knowingness, a sense of being and knowing. And so it's really the emptiness right, that is simply knowing itself, but that's not a person. Someone who knows. Right? It's just kind of, you could say it's just the knowing is all there is, but that also gets very misleading, doesn't it? Yeah. That's the problem with words, right? That aren't scrutinized and looked at with deeper intention. We find we kind of settle for words. No one knows. That's great. There's no one. I'm nobody, right? Yeah, and somebody. The somebody is empty, but manifests the emptiness. So David and Elaine and Christina, welcome Christina, and Rosario, are the self. Because emptiness and form are one. They're not two. Nothing. Yeah, this is not like this is all a big. It's not really a hallucination. The illusion is just that what I'm perceiving exists independently of me. That it's objective rather than subjective. That's it. That's the whole mystery. Okay, we're done. Everybody got it? Good. All right. See ya. You guys can start doing your own YouTube channel. But great appreciation for teachers like yourself who have a better vocabulary to get close to the ineffable. I've always loved words. Always. Even when I was a kid, I had people would comment about vocabulary this little kid had. Just hear him and I thought it was just so I could, be really cool and get all the chicks. It turns out it had a bigger purpose than that. Oh well. Damn. Maybe next time around. But yeah, it is the joy of finding ways to point the heart and mind that are truly open and sincere, to find ways to point them. Right? It's unique for everybody. Right? Some people can engage in a very precise intellectual level, looking at the nature of consciousness and perception and the like, and get up to that boundary of the limitations of the mind. Others, it's just pure heart. It's just compassion, love, and that's why a lot of emotional healing is most often required to just open up oneself because there's so much fear and like it's so much self denigration going on, and so the truth expresses itself to everybody in the way that they can hear. It's so loving. It's pure love. Right? It's pure love. The self is love. There is truth, love, wisdom, spirit. They're all words to point towards that which is all of them and not confined to any of them. So you can call it spirit, you can call it soul, you can call it pure awareness, you can call it Buddha nature. But the best thing to call it is me. Just call it, it's me. And there's, after a meditation in the Shiva temple, which they renamed to the Temple of Emptiness at Sahaja, I was walking down the hill. There's no flatlands there. 14,000 steps a day, all uphill and downhill. There's nothing flat. It's all built into the hills. I'm walking down, and just this sense of expansiveness was there, the unity of oneness. And so I walked past the Yogi Bhavan, so a place where you've seen him do satsangs and the like. There was this bell, I just invite you to ring whenever you feel like it, but on it was this quote that said, "My me includes the whole world." And that's just the most beautiful way to put it. The oneness includes the manyness. My me, quotes, includes the whole world. So there's a sense of individual, many individuals, but those are only the appearances of the one, because they're all empty. The nature of all appearances is emptiness. So, God appears as David and Elaine. Because without that, it's just the pure, empty absolute. But the nature of the absolute is love. It's not coldness, it's not distance, it's not far away, it's love. And that's why there's grace. To get close to the ineffable until you go, wait a minute, I am the ineffable. I'm the great mystery, for crying out loud. What? Oh, it's mystery. What's the mystery? You're the mystery. You're the unsolvable. You're the ineffable. You are what can never know you. You can never limit you to anything you could possibly know. Even this appearance right now, all of us, just as we are, right, is in constant flux, isn't it? How many millions of cells have died and new ones been reborn since we've been sitting here talking? The body's constantly turning over. Everything is moving. Even the atoms of the painting are moving, and they're degrading at some point. Right? Everything is this emptiness. No self anywhere. The self is, or no self, if you take the look at it the way the Buddhists do, which is a great way to look at it. Let me throw this behind my back. It keeps getting in my way, and I keep bumping into it. That's the no self doesn't mean nihilism or oblivion or anything like that. It means that it is not a thing. The self no self, two different ways of trying to express that which is what? Beyond it all. How do you... What you do is you be it. At this moment is the appearance of it, aka you. Thank you, David and Elaine, my good buddies. Rosario, is experience given by grace? Which experience? I could say all of them are given by grace. The experience you're having right now, right? The experience of the interchange, of an intimate interchange between honest hearts both loving the truth. In this case, Rosario is appearing as the student and GP as the teacher. But it's just an appearance. Because the same essence, the same beingness that's answering the question is asking the question. It is simply the recognition of that is grace. Nobody can figure this shit out. It's grace. By grace you are saved, and not that of yourself. If you're going to have to step out of the ego, right, something has to bring consciousness out of it, because we're so identified with it. It's going to be the ego trying to get free of the ego, isn't it? The sense of self trying to get free of the sense of self. Something has to kind of pop that bubble, and it can't come from the inside. The ego does not have that capacity. It can't smell its own breath. So something dawns on you. Something just pulls you. You don't even know why sometimes. Right? Like I told you guys the story of how I discovered I am that. I was reading a book by Wayne Dyer back in the 90s. And I never read any books of his. He's fine, I have no problem with him, but I was just not drawn to it, right? But for some reason, I was reading this book by him. I think it was called Your Sacred Self or something like that. And I don't know how far in the book it was. I think a third, halfway through. He has a quote from Nisargadatta Maharaj. It's called one of his favorite teachers. Right? And it wasn't, so I remember, it wasn't even that great a quote, but there was something about the name that just hit me. Right? And I never thought about it again. Right? But I didn't read the book anymore either. I never picked it up again. I went down. It's probably about 3 months later. I was walking through the East-West bookstore, which doesn't even exist anymore, which is a book of all sorts of spiritual books. Right? And I look up, and I just happen to, a corner of my eye, catch the spine of this orange book that says, I am that. Nisargadatta Maharaj. What? Isn't that? So I picked it up, I bought it, and for the next year or two, because it took me a long time to read through it, my mind was just blown. One day after another. It took me so long to read it because I read something and I went, and I just have to sit with it, and sit with it, and sit with it. And that's grace. I'd been in that bookshop numerous times as I lived in New York. There's all sorts of nice stuff there and interesting books about all sorts of stuff. It was a spiritual bookstore, some New Agey stuff and some self-help, but it was by the Himalayan Institute, which is a meditation thing. They gave meditation classes. I never noticed it. But something got planted. It hit me. It stuck with me. It was the only reason I read the book, obviously, because I never finished it. It's grace. Look back, you'll find all the ways in which, that grace has been leading you. Sometimes Why has God done this to me? Well, as Moody likes to refer to it as acid grace. Grace isn't always a gentle nudge to the left. Sometimes it's a whack at the side. It's completely knock you off course, or something horrible happens in your life, or a breakup, a divorce, a death, or getting some illness that just shifts our whole perception of things, that just drags us out of the momentum that we're grinding along in lifetime after lifetime. So, if, Rosario, let me make sure you add anything to that. If by that you mean that the big experience, right, is given by grace, the answer is, well, yes, but it's not an experience. You were here in the beginning. We did that little meditation, right, of just pulling attention away from absolutely everything, so there was nothing left there but you. That's not really an experience, is it? It's just you. You see, you are not an experience. Every experience is an appearance, isn't it? It's a movement. It's perceivable. You're not a perceivable entity. You are the imperceivable emptiness. You are what is perceiving all of the experiences, all the happenings, but you're not happening. Truth doesn't happen. It just is. You're that isness. And everything you're hearing, everything you're taking in, the very fact that you are able in this lifetime to hear this message and take it in, resonate with it, and consciously engage with it, is grace. Nobody can pat themselves on the back on this. Nobody achieves anything. That's why Paul said it. By grace you are saved, and that not of yourself, lest any man should boast. Oh, look what I got there. No. Everything has been by the hand of God. Everything. I love you, Rosario. And I love that word, grace. So I did used to think it was all my effort, right? And I was dutiful. I was, I'd have the veins popping out of my neck. I was meditating so hard, but everything shifted when I was like, well, wait a minute, no, I'm not the one doing this. The sense of me personally making something happen was like, really? Oh my God. Yes. No, of course not. How do I get rid of myself? Well, I can't. I can only come to see that which isn't me, that I've been believing was me. And at that point, I'm not getting rid of it. The truth that is being revealed is getting rid of it. And I'm just kind of like, the me I thought I was is dissolving. And the me I really am is simply appearing to itself. Because the me I thought I was, the ego, doesn't perceive anything. It's just a thought. It's just a collection of thoughts and impulses and conditioned patterns. That's all it is. With the belief that there's somebody there, rather than it's just empty. Yeah. Christina, about the poking. I hit a limit in self-inquiry. The being of I am is there. The understanding who knows that. And then a limit or a wall. Nothing else. It's quite dull, dry. Yes. I know it well. Yeah. And there it's going to happen, and probably more than once, although maybe not, because we run into these places where we've run out of moves. Right? Okay, I see the beingness, and I know I am that beingness, because I'm seeing it. But then you notice that there's this sense there of not being self-realized, right? So first thing is just kind of let go of any expectation as to what it's supposed to be. You know, because we've all heard the great stories of enlightenment, right? The big ones, the Hollywood epics, right? We don't hear about the ones. Matter of fact, I love to point out about Nisargadatta. He's one of the greatest sages of all time. I have no idea. All he said was, I did what my teacher told me to do. I did it. I puzzled over it. Sometimes I'd spend hours just looking at the I am and giving reality to nothing other than myself. And in 3.5 years, I realized the truth. That's all he says. That's all we know about it. It was a big aha. But he did say later, he says, yes, sometimes it comes in a big flash, but he says, many mistake a sublime experience for realization. He said, oftentimes it comes imperceptibly. You don't even notice it's happening. He says, and that's the most reliable. So, we'll take this up in the Sangha, because what really has to happen is a persistence. I've found the places where I was just kind of getting lazy. Me. I'm talking about you. Me. Right? And so I kind of like, and they go, wait a minute. This is the only thing. Stay here. Why is this so distracting? Right? There was this kind of this subtle discomfort there. Okay, what's there? Right? And I'm seeing it. Right? And it's hard to put into words what exactly that's like, because everybody has to, in themselves, find that place. And you discover those places where it's like, feels very unstable. It's like something doesn't want you to go there. Right? It's got a million reasons why not. And it's like you run out of steam, right? But this is where you two ways to do it. One is you just persist. Just keep bringing attention back, staring at that void that you can't see. Right? And whatever comes up, I don't care what it is. All right, it's appearing. It's not who I am. I can't see me. I can't see me. I can't see me. Right? Okay, I can't. Right? The other is just, Lord, purge me of ego, replace me with you. Just go. I can't do it. I do both. Right? And they kind of actually, for time, combined into one. There's this sense that all I can do is show up and knock on the door. Keep knocking on the door. Keep knocking. Okay? Even though I know the knocking has nothing to do with whether it's going to open or not. There's no causal connection. So if you just knock correctly, it's going to open. No, all it means is that you are persistent. You're willing to just stick with it because you don't even know why. Right? And you find that there's this limit, there's a wall, right? Nothing else, just this blank wall. Dull, dry, uninteresting. Just. Right? But that's perceived, isn't it? Okay, blank wall here. Okay. But it's perceived. This dryness, limited, a wall. That's perceivable. Dullness, perceivable, isn't it? Okay. So that can't be me either. Right? And just stick with it. And you'll find, something does not want you to go there. I use different terms when I'm describing that resistance in emotional healing. When I do those kinds of things for those that are on their way to self-inquiry, but still need a few steps filled in, little things filled in on the way. But essentially, what it is this. This is the game. This is Maya. In order for this to be God's game, there has to be an adversary. It's like a dark force. It just doesn't want to go. It tricks you, seduces you, distracts you, pushes you off everywhere. Right? It's like you have to get past all the obstacles. Right? And you get past them by realizing that the obstacles aren't real. Right? So this comes up, this wall there, right? There's a sense of a limit. Now notice that there's a sense that there's a wall there that's different from you, that's in your way. In other words, that particular form resistance has taken is being seen as if it is an objective thing that exists separate from you. Which means, when you really look at it, it isn't. I've decided there's a wall there. I've created this wall. I've given it the authority, and now I'm interacting with it as if it existed independently from me. Nothing exists independently of me. So I made the wall. Looky there. Do I need to get through it? No. I made the dullness. I made the dryness. I'm creating the very obstacle course I'm having to walk through. Who's that I? That's not Christina. Christina is one of the obstacles. This is God's game. You're beginning to understand the rules. And Maya works for God. Ooh. Good thing that's a good lid on it. I'm on a white sheet and it would not have worked good. Yeah, sitting here. The devil works for God. Yeah. Maya is, there's got to be an adversary, right? Can't have a hero without a villain, right? There's no story, Would anybody watch a movie that, just went through the whole thing and there was no conflict or anything resolved, just kind of like, be kind of like one of those New Age things with nice music and pictures of butterflies and stuff. Nobody pays any attention. Right? This is the play of the opposites. And that if you're going to win this game, it's not just going to be, oh, I get it, and that's over. Oh, no. No. All sorts of things are going to be thrown up. Because they're all appearing because of our notion, this sense of there being an objective world out there, right, that we're engaged with in some way, that we're fighting with in some way. There's nothing other than you. what Nisargadatta's teacher, I can never pronounce his name or remember it, so forgive me. If anybody wants to put it in there, I'll try. Told him was, focus on the I am, which you know for certain. I am. Okay, that's just a given. It's a fact, right? Now focus there. And give reality to nothing other than you. What? So don't make this wall something that exists outside of you. Consciousness has generated this wall. And your job is to recognize that, it doesn't exist independently of consciousness, which means it's meaningless. It's not stopping me from anything. Is it between me and me? Is there a wall there between me and me? There can only be a wall between me and what I think I'm shooting for, my expectations of who I am, but yet I made that wall. It's subjective, not objective. Fun one to chew over, isn't it? So there is no wall. That's what we come to see. There is no spoon there. For you Matrix fans out there. Let's see, data forever. This reminds me of my job. I use data that is seen as objective, and I create reports that can be described as telling a story. I present it as the truth, but it isn't received that way. Is there something that occurs in my everyday life that follows the same pattern? Sorry for mentioning my job. Just thought it was interesting with this discussion. It's fine. Yeah, it's great. It's great. Data is data, right? This is red, that's blue, right? It describes things, right? The things that it describes, right, we also actually come to see as data or as information, right? And with the advent of technology and the way things are processing, and the sheer quantity of it now, things that exist only as data have become in our minds real things, as if they have any kind of reality to them whatsoever. And they don't. Is there something that occurs in my everyday life that follows the same pattern? I'm not really sure which pattern you mean, but you're talking about the story that gets created, right? Because you're presenting information, but you're not saying, here's a bunch of facts and figures, right? You create a story around it to give it context, so you are giving that data meaning, which it doesn't inherently have, right? And because it doesn't inherently have it, right, there's no objective truth in it. It's just the story you happen to wrap around it, the particular perspective, and the like. Well, that's everything in your everyday life. Yeah. Your experience of yourself, until awakening begins to happen, is really just data. It's conditioned patterns. It's programs. It means nothing in and of itself until there's enough consciousness there with identity to now give this conditioning meaning. It's in the way, it's a problem, or I'm great, isn't it fantastic? But in fact, it's nothing but conditioned patterns that are set up in the nervous system in response to an adaptation to all sorts of different conditions that have no meaning in and of themselves until the story is created, and that story is what you call I. When you see that what the sense of I is resting on has no inherent or objective meaning, and that the I is just imaginary, projected on it, you begin to become free of it. You begin to grasp the meaning of self-inquiry. oh, I'm inquiring into who I am as who I really am, as opposed to this idea I've had about myself that was based on identification with conditioning, thinking that the conditioned patterns of this form, the body and environment, were myself. They're not. They're just conditioned patterns being exposed, being seen. So it is, everything is a story. If a story becomes dominant, we call it culture. Everybody happens to believe it. We live in a time, because of technology and media and all of that sort of stuff, there is no dominant story anymore. There's all sorts of things, points of view vying through different means to try to make the dominant story, which of course gives them power. That's pure ego. And very few actually looking for the truth. They want to make the truth that fits them. And so make a story, same data, depending on what your perspective is, you're going to make the story of whoever gets loudest, gets the most beliefs behind it, acquires enough power to be able to assert it, will, for a time, may become dominant, but it'll all collapse because there's no truth in it. Is that anywhere close to what you were thinking? Data forever? Data forever. Yeah. Dana, so no reason to ever worry about yes, really, but don't see it in terms of, I don't have to worry about things, which is true, and it comes that way. But don't stop there, because worrying will come up, because worry and doubt and fear are inherent in the false sense of self, because it's inherently unstable. So the ego will never be totally free from worry or doubt or fear or greed. You become free of the ego, and that's how you find no fear, no worry, no doubt, no greed. No, you're not dominated by desires, nor do you get rid of them. They become just, everything becomes just a part of life that's happening, but you're no longer identified with what is happening. You're identified with that which is behind everything that's happening, the consciousness in which it's all appearing. Does that make sense to you, Dana? Thank you, Chief. Beautiful. Thank you, Dave and Aline. Let's see. Can you speak of death? I got COVID 5.5 years ago now, and done with all treatment and eating, but I still feel guilt, as if it's my responsibility to keep this body alive. I need rest. Yeah. This may require a bit of just emotional healing, and by that I simply mean giving an opportunity for the body nervous system mechanism itself to adapt to its current circumstances without being judged. It's not your responsibility to keep this body alive. Thank God we couldn't do it. How many times you forget to eat or drink enough water and stuff like that? The body reminds you. You can hold your breath. People can do it for a very long time, but eventually the body will say, okay, enough. Boom, knock you out and start breathing. Because it has to. It takes an enormous amount to actually force the body into death. It's designed its whole point is to perpetuate its own existence. That's what it's doing for a time. Right? Now the body itself, is just a function. There's no self-awareness or sentience there that says, I've got to keep the body alive. It's just the nature of life itself that does it. And so, but we, getting seduced by, identifying with ourselves as a person dependent on the body, take on this responsibility of keeping it alive, make it perfect, good, and avoid this and avoid that, and become very afraid of this and that. And that isn't to say that you just kind of throw caution to the wind. I don't care about anything. You just do what you need to do. You eat well, you get hungry, eat good food, right? When it needs rest, let it rest. If you can't let it rest for some reason, don't take on the idea that I should be punished for that, or there should be some. Let life flow, your life flow, the way it's flowing. Right? You just step back and come to know you as the witness of it and the experiencer of it, but not dependent on it. Right? Nobody can keep the body going forever. It's going to get old. It's going to get saggy. It's going to get white hair, gray, and wrinkles. Right? It's going to move slower than it used to. It's going to happen. Right? So what? What does that have to do with me? How is that going to affect you? Yeah? The vehicle through which you are experiencing is going to change. It's going to alter. And you just let it. If I'm really attached to, I'm looking really good, looking like I did when I was 20 or something like that, or being in a health nut. If I'm really attached to those things, then I'm a slave to the body, and whatever happens to be the most current thing people talk about, well, this is what you have to do with health, and this is what you have to do with health, and it's a huge industry. Everybody trying to keep the body alive, right? But you're not your body. And life takes care of itself. You don't have to do it. You do what you need to do and then forget about it. Bathe it, every couple of days. Brush your teeth, right? Eat good food when you're hungry. Rest when you can, right? Walk, do some exercise to let it do stuff, but nothing that requires a great deal of thought. All of which that one can do while inquiring as to who I really am. Right? You're not the body. The body is something that has appeared in you and to you. It does not define you. It is simply a vehicle through which you are expressing who you are. Right? And that you is not Dana Marie. That's just the name given to the body and the conditioning and all of that. And it's good name. A pretty name. Right? But it's not who you are. Right? The rest you need is the rest from the burden of this responsibility of thinking that somehow I've got to make this all work. I've got to do all the right things and all of it. Oh, it's just so oppressive. You don't have to. You will very, very naturally, make, the more you know who you are, the more naturally you make good, healthy decisions, simple ones. You're simply not drawn to the stuff that's big and complicated and the like. It's just simple. It becomes very, very simple, very natural. And this happens as a result of emotional healing, which is often a precursor to self-inquiry. And that simply is that you reconnect with the body. Our early childhood traumas that really alienate us from ourselves, create all the emotional wounds and patterning and this stuff, disconnect us from our body. We don't trust it anymore. We don't rely on it. We get into our heads instead. But as you grow, as you step back, as you learn who you are, and give the body space, right, it naturally adapts itself. When you're not criticizing it or judging it or you anymore, it just naturally begins, that energy starts to flow differently. Different things appear, and you now are like able to communicate with you. You let it be what it is. I often use the metaphor that for most of us, traumatized from childhood, it's like a rescue dog. The body's an animal. It's just a functioning. And so you're the rescuer of this rescue dog. And all it needs is love. That's all it needs. But don't expect it to be perfect. Don't expect it to be immortal. It's got a lifespan. It'll fulfill it, and it'll go. And you'll either be fully awake or you'll get another body. Right? If there's more that needs to be seen, more that needs to be recognized, more realization that needs to take place, there'll be another body to do it, because that's what it's for. You took on a body to transcend the personal sense of self. And that's why we're here. So, can you speak to death? And so death is simply when the body ceases the process of its own transformation. Right? That is, this form does, and all the elements simply go back, because there were all bunch of elements been called in to take this shape, constantly being called in, right? The cycle happening, and eventually the cycle just stops, right? And it ends. Consciousness doesn't. You'll be aware of dying. You'll be aware of the fact that you're not dead. You're still here. Right? And to the degree that you understand yourself as pure consciousness, that will be just, it could actually even be your last step into the full awakening. But to the degree that there's still some sense of personal self remaining, there'll be another body in which that can be worked out until finally it all falls away. And you see that form, what appears as the body, is not self-acting. Okay? This is a formation of consciousness, so it's not objective. It's a whole discussion in and of itself. I do have a meditation. I don't know if it's on. I don't know which channel you're watching on. I think it's. Well, I know it's for sure, and it's at Evensong Music. I don't know if you guys know about that, but right there on YouTube is a channel that I'm putting all my music, and both meditation music, regular music, because I still like to write music, and also guided meditations there. And there's one that's called the what do I call it? The eternal moment between lives, which is really more of an experiential way of pondering what happens when this body ceases to be functioning, and this dimension of experience is no longer available to you. You're not going anywhere, trust me. But this experience that you're having, I might call it this dream, will come to an end, as everything does. Is that a rosary on your wrist? Well, the rosary is, long before there were rosaries, there were these mala beads. They're called mala beads. And they are used for prayer. I don't know if it has 108 beads on it. I didn't count. But, if it's one that's really used ceremonially for prayer, yeah, because we're going to say a prayer 108 times. You go through the beads, so you can keep track. And I just like them. I bought a couple of them when I was in Sahaja, and then I left my hotel in Faro and left them hanging on the wall, all of them. So I just kind of got these, but there's a place near me that's all just stuff this guy who's Tibetan brings over from Tibet. So I'm going to go see if I can find some that have some energy about them. Yeah, so it's kind of disappointing. They're really beautiful too. So it's not a rosary, and I don't actually do prayers like that. I just like them. I've never worn any jewelry in my life. If I hadn't been given a watch, I would never even be wearing a watch. So the earring was the first thing I ever did, which was there. It's an Om sign today. But something about it just kind of drew me to it. I kind of like it. What do you think? Styling? Cool? Does it make me look more guru-ish? Can't wait for Sangha. Yeah, but remember, it's not subjective. It is subjective. It's not objective. There's no wall there. Ponder that. I've invented an enemy where there isn't one. That's the deeper meaning behind Christ saying, love your enemies. You find you don't have any. Rosario, thank you, Chi. It should be something very deep coming with your words that made me cry, and it's still with me, full of gratitude. Good. That's it's a sign of some deep recognition, some opening. Remember, this isn't enlightened mind, it's the enlightened heart. It's just a full opening of being, right? Not just insight, it's being. Christina, I just remember I had a dream last night, you doing a ritual to awake me, and that I have an unconscious grief that is blocking me. Wow, I made the wall. It's very subtle. Yes. Yes, it is very subtle. Because we've got this idea, right, that there's the objective world, right, and then me here perceiving it, that there's this thing out there. I mean, that's all human thought and endeavor and culture and society is based on the notion that what I'm perceiving exists independently of me, and everything I'm perceiving, right, all its qualities are qualities of it. So, right, we're completely unaware of the subjective nature of all things, to the point where there's nothing out there at all. It only exists within consciousness. And I don't talk about that much because some people go, because unless there's some degree of understanding that you're not the person, when the person hears that, there's nothing here but me, it becomes solipsism, basically, which is not even close to this. Just, if there was something out there that existed, a reality independently of me, I don't know what it is. I don't experience that. I experience my beliefs about it. And so, when I experience a wall, I've made that wall. When you're looking, especially when you're looking within, when you're looking inside, doing the inquiry to find the reality of you, all the obstacles are you. All of them, because everything in here is you. Eventually you'll see everything out there is you, but don't be in a hurry for that. Right? So it's a mind's illusion, ego, fear of being seen as it is, a bunch of thoughts in a pattern. Yep, that's all there is to it. That we have identified with the I am, the sense I am, which is pure, has identified with the form. I am this form. Okay? And that I am identified with form becomes the ego. I am this now. So I act like this, I think like this, I behave like this, I'm frustrated like this, and I struggle to get out of this in all sorts of different ways until finally, through the magic of grace, you are touched and brought to the real way out of it when you're ready. Yeah. And so there's these things are unconscious, right? Until they're not. But if you recognize yourself as pure awareness, pure consciousness, right, then, and persist in going, if I can see it, it can't be me, that which appeared to be unconscious becomes conscious, becomes recognizable. Oh, it's not me. It's perceivable. Subtle, but perceivable. Because no matter how subtle it is, you're more subtle. You're beyond subtle. You are what is. All of that is just an appearance, and a subjective appearance at that. Yeah. You're free. You're really free. You're creating your own. You're so free, you get to create your own obstacles. Yes, the ego afraid of being seen as it is. That's Maya. Yeah, taking the shape of a personal ego. And all the ego is not actually an entity, is it? It's just a bunch of thoughts and belief in a person projected onto the bunch of thoughts as if it were somebody, like a robot that's just really good at acting, imitating all the mannerisms and activities of a human being, but there's no human being there. It's AI. Right? And so the ego is seen to be just another thought. In fact, I'll see if this lands anywhere for anybody. The believer in the ego, the one who believes they are the ego, is also a thought. The belief and the believer are actually one perceivable, subtle energy or movement. Because you're not even the believer of it. See if that lands with anybody. Daryl says the devil works for God. I love it. Yeah. Yeah. There's no opposing force. In fact, if you actually look where the origins of that word Satan before it became turned into the Christian view of it and all that in the Jewish Bible, it wasn't Satan. It wasn't a proper name. That was a long time later. That was several hundred years after Christ that it became somebody's name. It was actually a title, the Satan, which simply means an opposer, obstacles. Whoever puts the obstacles in the way. Right? Right? But who's putting the obstacles in the way? God. So in fact, God. It's God in the role of the obstacle maker, the trickster God, you might say, which is a much better way of looking at it. So it's a Satan. Matter of fact, there's references in the Old Testament of different Satans. Right? And, then we have Ganesha, right, who is the clearer of obstacles, the big elephant god. Yeah, it's beautiful. And in the Indian tradition, you had Mara, who was the opposer, the one who tried to tempt you, or terrify you, right? And then try to make yourself doubt. Yeah. But these are all representations of this movements in consciousness of Maya, and none of this is an accident. You wanted this game because you're God. I shouldn't have said it like that because, blasphemy. I mean, you discover yourself as that which is behind it all. Dana Marie, thank you. Oh, you're very welcome. Very welcome. Tomas, good to see you. If Maya appears super boring, does that mean there's identification with the false sense of self? Well, Maya can appear boredom, right? God, this is boring, right? Or irritating, or annoying, right? Right? Yeah, everything that comes up to distract you from consistently, piercingly continuing to inquire into your actual experience. In other words, to look, to be looking. Right? We're not trying to think our way through it. As we were speaking of earlier, we use the intellect to point. But there's a point at which, okay, you stop, looking at the finger that's pointing, and you look at what it's pointing at. Right? And it's difficult because we're not used to looking into places where you can't see anything. Right? But you're looking for you. You're looking for you. And what Maya's actually doing, if you see it correctly, is exposing to you all the places where you have been identified. Is the self, the pure awareness, the infinite one, ever bored? Of course not. So boredom must be the sense of mind, a state of mind in which what's happening right now, I don't like it. I want something else to be there. So, but if you see it as that, just a state of mind, a movement of mind, as Maya, then you can stand back and go, oh, this is what boredom feels like. Oh, I'm experiencing boredom. Yeah. And then you'll see, oh, where's the boredom coming from? It's coming from a sense of, I don't like this. This isn't interesting to me. I want this kind of experience. I want a nice, nice, happy, chocolate-covered life. I want Netflix or something, right? This is interesting. I'm not interested in that. And you can step back and look at that and go, oh, so that's a movement of mind. Right? And that's not to say you got to inflict yourself and I got to stay in the boredom, right? Because it'll come and go, right? If this isn't interesting, you can do something else, but you don't want to be running away from the boredom, because then Maya uses that as a way to keep you from doing the inquiry. Oh, there's nothing here. I can't see anything. It's boring. Right? Isn't there supposed to be lights and angels and stuff, right? Am I supposed to have great experiences? No, not at all. I'm supposed to be just this. I'm that which is experiencing. It can't be experienced. So it's not a peak experience. It's not a low experience. It's not an enlightenment experience. It's none of that. It's just my own beingness that is completely witnessing without... it's kind of a loving indifference. And I think that's the way Nisargadatta referred to it. It's a loving indifference. Yeah. Yes, this is happening. That's what boredom is. Okay. All right. And then you let yourself have that experience, right? And notice all the ways in which you don't want to. That's identification. When you notice that, now you're down. Okay, but who's noticing all that? How can I see that? Right? And very soon you'll find that it's not so boring. Right? That it's just another distraction. So let's see. Yeah. Does that answer it for you, Tomas? I can go into it more if you like. Ava loves that meditation. Tiffany. Oh, gee, right now I'm feeling like I can't do this anymore. Good, so don't try. Depending on what it is, you can either let me do it for you, just give it to me, or you can just don't do it. I can't do this. Inquiry, right? All right, so don't. Don't beat yourself up, right? Instead, if you're talking about the inquiry, wait. Wednesday we'll do it together. Because you break through when we do it together. But it can take some time to get it so you can do it yourself. It can take some time. Yeah. So it's okay. That's why I'm here. I can do the heavy lifting until your muscles get bigger. And that's okay. There's this other delusion this culture suffers from. I've got to do it all myself. No, you don't. Matter of fact, we're not doing any of it on ourselves. It's all being brought about by grace. And just remember how deeply and dearly loved you are. If you feel like you can't do it, fine. It is no reflection of you whatsoever. It does not change how much you are loved and appreciated. It doesn't change the truth of you at all. Just the truth of you is now feeling like it can't do something. So it's having that experience. Don't worry. You're all right. Dana says, you're so free. You get to create your own obstacles. This has been so wonderful. Thank you, G. Yeah, you're very welcome. Yeah. I guess somebody should join the Self-Inquiry Sangha. I can engage a little bit more. And I can also tell if you need... I do free consultations with folks to see what they need. If they need some more emotional healing or more... And it's free. You can just, we get on Zoom together and we talk privately. I can try to guide you. So, Om sessions? Is that what it is? I forget my own site. https on omschool.ca/om sessions. Yeah, that's it. Scroll down. The one at the bottom is free. It's schedules a talk with me. This is for anybody who wants to. And I can just give you some guidance, point you in the right direction, and just kind of help you out, because we don't have to do this on our own. I don't think anybody's gotten enlightened watching YouTube videos. I really don't. Nay, so good to see you. Gee, is there a point where the bridge between self-inquiry becomes second nature? And the mind isn't so loud, mean, and resistant? Yes, there is. Yeah. But it isn't that the mind isn't loud, mean, and resistant. It's just that you are so established in yourself that the mind, which used to sound loud, is this little voice off in the distance. It's not that it's loud or mean and the like. The thing that makes it that way is that you simply have given it the authority to upset you. Right? If there's nobody there to upset, right, right? Who feels like they're, something's being mean and resistant, then there's nothing there. Then it isn't mean and resistant. Remember, I don't know if you just joined us or heard earlier. The mind and all of your experiences are not objective; they're subjective. So when we think, "Oh, the mind, can it stop being so loud and mean and resistant?" Right? It is actually your projection onto it that it's loud, mean, and resistant. In other words, it's your subjective experience. You've taken this idea of mind, all these thoughts that are just nasty and the like. You've turned them into this thing, this objective thing that exists separately from you that keeps bugging the hell out of you. Right? That's not true. There is no such thing. You're giving it that authority. So you're stop being mean, stop being mean. Well, it can't stop being mean because you're seeing it as mean and being mean to you. So instead go, wait a minute, I'm doing that. I made that. I've made these mean thoughts, given them an authority over me, and then trying to get rid of them. I can't get rid of them. I don't have to. They're not objective. They're not a thing there that's getting me. It's just me. Can you feel the power in that? Oh my God. I've been believing that there's this thing there that's being mean to me, which is really just how you internalized mom, right? Right? Loud, mean, and right? And it just obstinately won't do what I want it to do. Right? There's nothing there, love. It's like a ghost. There's nothing there. We have projected our power and authority onto an idea, a concept, and there isn't actually anything or anyone there. That's how you get yourself free of it. I am sure this is going to come up in the next Sangha, or the next, emotional healing class. Yeah. So you're right. It sounds just like her. Yes, it is. And you've objectified it. Think, I've got to get rid of it. I've got to get rid of it. Well, get rid of what? Show it to me. Parade it out and show me this mind, and I'll get rid of it for you. In fact, there was a student of Bodhidharma, where somebody just came to him and said, "Can you help me? Can you please stop my mind? My mind is giving me so much trouble." And Bodhidharma says, "Okay, I will. What I want you to do, we're going to get together tomorrow. And I want you to bring your mind. I want you to show me your mind." I was puzzled over it. And he comes up, and Bodhidharma says, "Well, just bring your mind. Show me your mind." He goes, I can't find this. He said, "See, I stopped your mind." So it's a belief in it. There's no mind there bugging you. It's a belief that we have, that we've objectified, and think there's something there that's bugging us. It's like, whoa. I've been doing it to myself. This is the cosmic joke. This is the cosmic joke. Yeah. And that bridge between self-inquiry, emotional healing, does become second nature. Because the transformation is taking place. The human experience is beginning to reflect the internal and external harmony of the reality of the self, which is just nothing but pure love. Pure love. Tomas says, it seems as if Maya has completely lost its power. You're right. Oh, that's right. To the point that it almost seems flat, colorless, useless. If it's perceivable, it can't be used. So don't underestimate Maya. Remember, Maya works on the authority of the Most High. So she's got some tricks up her sleeve that are it ain't over till it's over. Don't go popping the champagne. It doesn't have any power to lose except the power you give it, and that's how it works. It seduces you into thinking that there's something there with power. Satan, our modern idea for the devil, that now is named Satan, is a god. Oh no, it's not God. Fallen angel. Is it? What's the difference? So they wanted to have monotheism. So the divine council, which was a bunch of gods originally, and even the beginning of the Old Testament, becomes just God and his angels because they can't be gods. When in fact it was believed to be a bunch of deities. And so Satan becomes this character of all this power to do things, make things happen. You see him pictured in movies, exploding things. Has none, zero power. He has to convince you. He has to seduce you into believing it because you have the power. He has to convince you that you're not worth anything. Because he can't make you not worth anything, but he has to get you to think you are. And then, I'm not worth, and you do it to yourself. That's the game. So, can you perceive? It feels flat, colorless, useless. Right? If it's perceivable, it's not you. But don't be fooled. Right? Don't think that Maya's gone, lost its power. Because as long as you're here, and there's any identification left with the person, Maya has not lost its power. Because you are its power. All right, everybody. Just hit 2 hours. Look at that. Wonderful. Thank you. Earlier I noticed that mental chatter sounds like people I'd never take advice from. Then I felt gratitude for being like, oh, I don't need my mind as much. No, you don't need it much. Actually, you don't really need it at all for inquiry. Right? But it's part of the picture. It's part of our intelligence. It's part of the whole thing that's available to us. But like everything else, it's got to be brought under the authority of you. Right now, it's seen as this horrible thing that's getting in the way, and just the programming, the conditioning of the body, the nervous system, the mind, and all of it, right, seems to be this huge obstacle. Until it's seen for what it actually is, which is nothing but a bunch of conditioning in life. So there's no enemy there. There's just a bunch of conditioned patterns. So, you're not going to, it's like trying to strangle a puppet. There's nobody there. A goddamn puppet. Yeah. Jacqueline, it's the incessant thoughts, not mine, that bothers me, and thoughts are ephemeral, so I can't show them to anyone. Yes. Yeah, but, Jacqueline, but reach out to me. Let's look at it together, because the thoughts, right, are there, but it's not the thoughts that are bothering you. It's the fact that you believe them, right? That you've given them this authority, and you've become convinced that the only way to be happy and free is for all of those thoughts to go away, but they just won't go away. Well, they can't, because you, everyone here, is inadvertently empowering them, feeding them, giving them energy, and they just keep going. But there's nobody there that's doing this to you. It is simply a mechanism, like a robot, that's playing itself out. Right? And the thoughts are all what? They're all unloving, unkind, critical of you, beating you up incessantly. Right? But you're not unlovable. You're quite lovable. Worth knowing, worth knowing. See, that's the truth. Right? But you've been told for so long that you weren't. Right? That it's so ingrained, and you're afraid that you're not. That the thoughts just stop coming. They can, yeah. But prior to that, you can come to the point where you realize they're not really true about you. They're habits. Yeah, they're just a voice in the head with no more authority than Siri on your phone. They're just a sound in your head. But keep reaching out to me. Yeah. And going through all the little exercises and the like. You're closer to freedom than you realize, Jacqueline. You really are, love. And you are very loved. Wow. I know you don't feel that right now, but you will. Oh, hello, Liza. Welcome to the end. Oh, thank you all. And thank you, Jacqueline, for just reaching out in that little way that you just did. And thanks to everybody. I do have to remind you that this kind of conversation is rare. It's not happening everywhere. And that you have been able, found worthy, really, to engage in this level, to be receptive to this kind of thing, is sheer grace. Nobody's worthy of this, in the sense that nobody earns it. Freedom, happiness, forgiveness, love, self-love are not earned. They're given freely, but they have to be accepted. Accepting it is what, because I'm not worthy of it, or we're so identified with this person we're trying to fix, when all the love and freedom and acceptance that our hearts yearn for is right here. Accept it. You don't have to be worthy of it. You don't have to earn it. It doesn't matter what you've done in the past. It doesn't matter what you've experienced. It doesn't matter what happened to you, your traumas. None of it matters. It is yours. Can you just let yourself accept it? Even when you don't feel it, just can you accept it? It's just grace. Just grace. Because that's what it is. You are loved and lovable. Not because you earned it or became something, but because you are. It is your nature. You were born that way. You were eternally that way, prior to even this birth. So, love you all. Until next time, namaste. Happy day.